This is the first question on section 3.4. This is a regression problem for quadratic regression. There isn't any way we can do this without a calculator though. So I'm at home and I don't have a calculator on my computer. So what I'm going to have to do is I'll try to go to question help and explain the example, and then I'll do this example using my calculator that I have here, and it'll be a little awkward because I'll have to try to show you what I'm typing in and all. Okay, so here's a similar problem, quadratic regression. That's when we get an equation that's in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's a quadratic function. So they tell us that there might be a little over explanation. Basically, all the x values are what numbers in the top row, and we're going to go to stat and L1 and type those numbers in. Oh, but then your question help doesn't help too much. It doesn't tell you how to type this into the calculator. So it just says use your calculator. So let's close this out. And I'll try my best to help you get through this problem. And here's what we're going to do. First of all, I'm going to try to show you my calculator, and I have a button. It's called a stat button, and I'm going to push the stat button, and it's on edit. So I need to put in under L1 all the numbers in the first row, L2 all the numbers in the second row. So I'm going to hit enter. Now I see that I have numbers up here. There's an L1 and an L2. I want to get rid of those numbers. So I'm going to move up and I'm going to hit clear. Don't hit delete, clear and enter, and move up and hit clear and enter. Now, if for some reason you screw something up and you mistakenly delete a row where you don't see L1 and L2, that's our default list, okay? What you can do is to fix something that you might mess up on the stat menu, go to stat, and at the very bottom is setup editor number 5. So we're going to go to number 5, or you could just hit 5, hit enter about 3 times. Or no, just once. Actually, that works. And then when we go back to our stat menu, if you're missing any one of these columns, then it will be restored. So now I need to go back to my problem, and under L1, I'm going to type in all the x coordinates. So I need to share my screen. So for my x's, I have 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. I don't know if you can see this very well. I just typed in all my x's, and then I'll type in my L2. Those are the numbers right below. 0, 401, 1597, 3602, 6399, and 9993. Now I'm double checking to make sure I have all my numbers in correctly. Okay, so we should see the same number of entries on the L1 list and L2 list. If these two lists are uneven and we try to do a computation, the calculator is going to come back with an error. It's probably going to be like a dimension mismatch error. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to find my quadratic equation. That's called my regression equation. It's basically if I were to plot these points and connect the dots, then it would resemble a parabola. And the equation of that parabola it resembles is called my quadratic regression equation. So I'm going to go back to stat. And actually, I might need to be on my home screen. So I'm going to go back home because I don't know if it's, okay, so I'll just go back home. Now I'm going to go to stat, go to calculate, and you should see something. It looks like number 5 is quadratic regression. And I'm just going to keep hitting enter until I see an equation. Now, normally, if I'm in my office, I would have access to TI-84 online or on my computer, but obviously I'm home. So I'm trying my best here. Bear with me. Okay. Let's see. Let me try this again. Stat, calculate, number 5, quadratic regression, enter, 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 enter. There we go. There, this is what we have. I don't know if you can see this, but it's like 99.86.8696 minus 0.607. So I'm surprised that on the question help, it didn't actually at least show you what to do on the calculator. I mean, like, hey, use your calculator. It would know how these numbers would magically appear. I'm going to go back to my problem. And it says to round to 2 decimal places. Okay. So I have 99.86 x squared plus my B is 0.8696, so I'll go with 0.87 x minus my C is 0.607, so I'll go with 0.61. Now I'm going to check this, and I'm going to do a similar problem because the problem I'm seeing on my homework might look different than the ones you see on your homework. Oh, now, I know fantastic, but I'm not going to move on. I want to go back to the first problem, and I want to do another example because I had a few students send this to me as a ask my instructor question. Now, if you miss this, you know, and you want to get your credit back, just go to similar question. And now we have a different question, but very similar. So it looks like my x's are the same as before. And I want to show you a little trick here that I can do on my calculator. Now, let me stop the share real quick. Okay, now I'm going to go back to stat. I'm going to edit my L2 list because I believe the L1 lists are the same numbers. So I'm going to go back to my problem and I'm going to type in some new numbers. And my new numbers, I have 399, or 00 is the first, 399, 1605, 3596, 6404, 10, 008. Okay, double check. Now I'm going to go back to my home screen. And let me try to show you my calculator screen here. All right, now, what you can do is, if you have hit second and enter, it brings up my previous step. So if I hit second and enter, I can recalculate my new regression problem, and it gives me new numbers, okay? Or you can go back to stats, calculate over here, and then go down to number 5, and then, but that's a shortcut. You can go to second and enter, and it will repeat the last step. So I'm now my coefficients are going to be 100.147 or 100.15 x squared plus negative 0.8167, negative 0.816. So I'm going to say negative or minus 0.82 x, and then last term is 0.67857, so plus 0.68. Okay, and of course, I think the remaining questions are going to be the same. Now, unfortunately, this is not a section where you can do these without a graphing calculator of some sorts. This is another quadratic regression. I want to go back to the first one. Let's do one more similar question to this. Okay, looks like the same numbers, except my second row is different. So I'm going to go to stat. I'm going to hit enter on edit, and I'm going to move over. Oh, wait, this is the same problem I just did. Okay. So, so maybe you'll get either one or two of these problems that I just did on your homework. You can lease a calculator from the Math Lab. If you don't have one, there's a download from, it's a temporary download. Mine expired. It's from Texas Instruments. It's a TI-84 emulator. I had it, but then it expired and it doesn't work well with Zoom. Another option is if you just don't have much money and you want a physical calculator, the TI-83s is a really old version of this, but they're a whole lot cheaper. So I'm going to send this out. I hope it helps you. And stay warm today. It's cold outside.